What's up, peeps? Paul from Lift Run Bang here. We'll talk a little bit about injury rehabilitation that I've used over the years to help get me back to speed pretty fast. So I'm just going to go through those steps after you suffer an injury from lifting and how to get you back into the gym or on the platform or any of those things. The first thing that you have to do is a certain amount of self-assessment. I get a lot of people that write to me and say, I injured this or I injured that, or ask me about my own injuries and say, are you going to go to a doctor, so forth and so on. Self-assessment comes back to, did you have a muscle tear that happened in the belly of the muscle, or did you have a muscle tear that happened at the tendon area? If you had a muscle tear that happened at the tendon area, it means that you're going to have to go in and they're going to have to do surgery. For example, if you tear a bicep off, if you tear the pec tendon, those kind of things. If you have a tear at the insertion point, but there's no tendon tear, then basically that just requires time and allowing the healing process to take place. So you're going to have to do a certain amount of self-assessment there. You'll probably know if you had a tendon tear. When I tore both my biceps, it was very obvious. My bicep rolled up my arm and kind of sunk off in my armpit. So I knew even the first time that ever happened to me that it was pretty severe and I'd probably be going to the hospital. I've had other injuries that I knew obviously it was just going to be something I'd have to do on my own. I tore an adductor one time in a meet pretty severely, so much so that it still shows up on an MRI. Tore my quad. It was deep into the vastus lateralis on the side of my leg. That happened at Detroit Relentless. It was one of the most painful injuries I ever had, probably the most painful injury I ever had. And you have to do a certain amount of self-assessment to determine, you know, hey, is this something I can rehab or is this something that's going to require surgery? If it's something that requires surgery, I can't do that for you. Only a doctor can. I didn't go to medical school. I didn't even stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. So I can't tell you anything about that. So for all you guys that send me emails or messages and say stuff like my kneecap is, you know, on the back of my leg. Anyway, so basically the first step is self-assessment. So let's say you have something that you know doesn't require a doctor. The first thing that you need to do, the first thing that I do, is I let a certain amount of the localized pain subside. I don't use ice. I figured out years ago that ice I didn't feel like offered me any benefits, so I just didn't use it. And since then, some other guys like Kelly Starr have come forth and said, you know, hey, there's not a big benefit to using ice, and the whole protocol wasn't really based off of a whole lot of science and whatever. So I don't use ice. Stopped using ice years ago. I never felt like it sped up the process. I didn't feel like it helped me heal faster. And also, inflammation into a injured area is not always a terrible thing. There's a reason that it happens. Naturally by your body, I mean. So I kind of let the localized pain subside. Depending on the severity of the injury, that could be a few days or it could be a few weeks. It just all depends. I do use something like ibuprofen to help manage the pain. If you just want to be a tough son of a bitch, just deal with it every day. If I have a severe injury, I'll go ahead and take ibuprofen or something just to help with pain management. After the injury, the localized pain subsides, what I'll do is start using the movement that I got injured on for rehabilitation. So if I got injured doing squats, I'll use squats for rehab. If I got injured benching, which happened about a month ago, the first time ever, I actually had a fairly in between, not major but not minor pec strain in the pectoralis minor, bench pressing. So you're gonna want to use whatever movement that you hurt yourself with to do the rehabilitation with. So those are kind of your first couple of steps. A self-assessment, let a certain amount of localized pain subside, and then use the movement that you hurt yourself with for the rehabilitation. After you can use the movement, enough pain has subside so that you can say you can squat again, or you can bench press again, or you can do whatever it is you need to do again. Obviously you're going to start very light. Oftentimes with just the bar for the first week or even two, again depending on the severity of pain that you have. I try not to rehab through pain. There will be some, it'll be sore, it'll be stiff. You have to understand the difference between your body telling you, hey, fucking stop, and okay, that's sore, but I'm okay. So start with the bar, lots of sets of like 20 to 50 reps, get a lot of blood moving back through that area. Once you do that for a few weeks, you start adding a little bit of weight at a time to the bar. For example, I think my pec strain was about a month ago. I started after I felt like I could move the bar without a lot of pain. I just did the empty bar for lots and lots of sets, 40 and 50 reps, and this helped a lot and sped things up a lot. Tonight I just did 225 for a 26 on incline. My best is 30, so I'm coming along. So after a few weeks, and this is where a lot of guys get in trouble, is they start the rehab process and they get a few weeks in and the pain pretty much subsides and they're starting to feel better again. But what happens is they start to feel better, so they assume that it's time to start loading the bar. Well, there's a couple of phases that happen that you have to be aware of. Number one is there's a difference between being ready to heal and being ready to strengthen. And once you're quote unquote healed, you have to remember that that area will be weakened from the injury and from not using very heavy loads over the past many weeks. So a lot of guys get in trouble because they feel like this area is healed, it's time to start loading the bar. And then they load the bar too quickly over the next few weeks, and the next thing you know, the same injury reoccurs. This is really common with a lot of guys, and I learned this lesson when I was younger and I stopped. You have to be patient in that time. Once the healing process is kind of completed and you're ready to strengthen that area again, you have to think in terms of, okay, you're not as strong as you were. If you try to push the envelope at this point, that area is going to give out again. So you need to take quite a few weeks to build back up to basically where you were. So if you look at it this way, from the time that you're healed, and I mean that when I say healed, I mean there's no pain at all. You don't get any more pain when you do the rehabilitation movement. From that point on, think about something to the tune of 6 to 8 weeks before you're getting back to moving anything really respectable. Now, that may upset some guys because they want to hurry back and get a lot of weight on the bar, but you're going to keep setting yourself back over and over again if you don't give yourself a very complete rehabilitation period. There's no need in being a macho asshole and trying to rush through things and end up injuring yourself all over again. So take your time, make sure that all the pain subside, and then take 6 to 8 weeks to slowly build up to moving something respectable. You don't have to be hitting PRs, just moving something that you feel like, okay, I'm pretty well on my way. My pec strain was, it felt major at first, but then within a week, I was feeling pretty okay. I believe last week I did 315 for a set of 8 after 4 sets of 20 with 225. So I'm kind of back on the right track. Before I got injured, I was doing lots of sets of 405 for 5. So it'll still be a little while, but that's okay. I mean, that's not a big deal. It's better to take my time now and be at a point where I'm still set up for long-term progress 6 months from now than to hurt myself again in a month or 2 months from now and be set back again and then have to take another 2 or 3 or 4 months just to get back to the point that I am now. And this happens to a lot of guys, and they get caught in this vicious cycle because they just so badly want to get more weight back on the bar that they don't give themselves a proper rehabilitation period. So if you sustained an injury, major, minor, self-assessment period, let your pain subside for the most part, use the movement to rehab the area. And the second thing is, once all your pain's gone, take a significant amount of time, 6, 8, 10 weeks, whatever, to focus on programming and getting stronger over those 6 to 8 plus weeks. That'll do it for you.